Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on the Decarbonised Transport theme today. I'm Jacqueline Redmond, and I'm the Executive Director of PNDC. Now, some of you today might be wondering why an innovation centre with its roots in enabling smarter power grids is hosting a session on encouraging decarbonised mobility. I think the truth is that we're all now beginning to understand that we can't isolate the individual actions that we need to be able to do to address climate change, and we need to address them in what you'll hear frequently this afternoon in a whole systems approach. At PNDC, we're currently working with the UK government through its Driving the Electric Revolution programme to develop an innovative programme that will help accelerate the deployment and development of high-powered, high-integrity transport solutions. In addition to this, we're also working with the Scottish Government and Transport Scotland to help understand the impact of the interaction between power, heat and hydrogen systems in a whole systems energy initiative. And of course, coming back to our own roots, as society electrifies transport and heat, it will become increasingly important to ensure that the power networks that we rely upon remain resilient. So to help us highlight some of the challenges and opportunities in this sector, I've invited along some people today that I think are making a real difference. Our examples and stories today may be focused on Scotland, but our hope is that irrespective of where you're joining us today, you can identify with these challenges and feel free to reach out to connect with any of the speakers to share your insights or even propose a contribution or a collaboration going forward. So to get us started today, I'm introducing Matthew Eastwood. He's Head of Innovation Supply Chain in Transport Scotland's Low Carbon Economy Directorate. He'll set us up for our journey through the challenges and opportunities for decarbonised mobility. He'll highlight the role that Transport Scotland is playing to encourage industry and academic sector to come together to address these challenges. And he'll also provide a few examples of where ambition has been translated into action. Over to you, Matthew, to kick off our session this afternoon.
Thank you, Jacqueline. As you heard, my name's Matthew Eastwood, and I work for Transport Scotland. And in my role in Transport Scotland, I focus on decarbonising transport and maximising the economic opportunities arising from that transition, with a focus on batteries, fuel cells, and zero-emission specialists in heavy-duty vehicles, as well as the facilities to develop, test, and manufacture these. The Scottish Government has provided strong leadership on an energy transition, with ambitious targets that align with Scotland's abundant natural resources. In this context, we're developing a strong environment to take forward the Scottish Government's ambitions to decarbonise transport. Scotland has 25% of Europe's wind resource, and efficient energy storage will help unlock the potential to use Scotland's abundant natural resources to power our transport requirements. As such, there are plans to situate hydrogen production close to wind farms, which will use surplus electricity to reduce the cost of hydrogen, making low-carbon transport more cost-efficient. Scotland is hosting COP26, and it's being held at a crucial time for the global climate emergency. In unprecedented circumstances in which the potentially devastating impacts of catastrophic climate change are all too clear. But Scotland's track record of putting ambition into action makes us well placed for hosting this event. We plan to use this opportunity to develop more international partnerships and to further work that we're doing on the decarbonisation of transport, while creating opportunities for companies based in Scotland to participate in a zero-carbon economy, as well as creating good green jobs and ensuring a just transition. Scotland has a history of innovation and invention. The first mechanically propelled bicycle, the pneumatic tyre, the first passenger steamboat in Europe, the first practical screw propeller, the telephone, and we won't mention the deep-fried Mars bar. But more recently, Scotland's contribution in energy and low-carbon transport sectors has included the development of some world-leading bus, rail, maritime and aviation projects. These typify the way that Scotland has a history of turning geographical challenges, including rural and island communities, into opportunities for innovation. Scotland's decarbonisation targets are ambitious, and they set a backdrop that allows innovation to develop to address these challenges. You can see some of our key targets on the current slide. But they also include phasing out the need for new petrol and diesel light commercial vehicles by 2030, reducing car kilometres by 20% by 2030 compared to 2019 levels, decarbonising passenger rail services by 2035, and removing the need for new petrol and diesel heavy-duty vehicles by 2035, and also decarbonising scheduled flights in Scotland by 2040. But of course, it's not just about replacing existing internal combustion engine vehicles. It's also about modal shift, reducing car use and increasing sustainable and active travel, and of course public transport. Embracing a changing transport system also opens up opportunities to innovate, to find new solutions, and we're both open to developing those new solutions domestically with a supportive environment that we're creating, but also by working with international partners and those that want to invest in Scotland. We see opportunities to develop a number of key areas through domestic growth and international investment. In Scotland, our strengths in terms of renewable energy and the internationally recognised reputations of our academic institutions and our strength in engineering skills create opportunities to decarbonise the transport sector, including batteries, energy storage, hydrogen production, fuel cell development, and the development of zero-emission components, systems, and drivetrains for specialist and heavy-duty vehicles across road, off-road, rail, maritime, and aviation. And I'll briefly look at each of these opportunity areas. As demand for battery cells in the automotive industry outstrips supply, Scotland is looking to develop its supply chain and scale up production of battery cells and battery packs, plus the technology for monitoring and managing these battery systems. We're also investigating sodium ion as a low-cost and more abundant element to further reduce battery costs and create opportunities for Scotland to innovate, for opportunities for research and development, and also manufacturing. There are specific opportunities to develop the supply chain in Scotland to reduce the UK's reliance on overseas markets. Opportunities also exist to develop new ownership models, as well as the reuse and recycling of batteries. We have university expertise in the likes of the University of St Andrews, where work is underway to develop skills, training, and manufacturing facilities, which are supported by government. In Scotland, we're also lucky to have potential sites with space and infrastructure and a proximity to renewable energy generation. Scotland is fast becoming a leading centre for the development of zero-emission specialist and heavy-duty vehicles. We're establishing a series of platforms for innovation, research and development on different types of specialist and heavy-duty vehicles, including buses, trains, ferries, refuse collection vehicles, and emergency vehicles. This is opening up exciting opportunities for companies to get involved in these areas, including components, system and drivetrain and vehicle design and manufacturing, whole system modelling, vehicle, fleet and energy system integration, and the development of refuelling and recharging infrastructure. Public and private sector fleets open to innovation and Scotland's diverse geography make Scotland an ideal testbed for zero-emission deployment and development. Scotland already has a number of pioneering projects which have been delivered by the private sector in partnership with Scotland's public sector. These include pioneering work in Aberdeen by Aberdeen City Council to develop a cluster of hydrogen activity with 2 publicly accessible hydrogen refueling stations and one of the largest and most varied hydrogen fleets in Europe, including buses, cars, vans, road sweepers, and waste trucks. The world's first electric fire engine was launched from Cumnock in Scotland by Emergency One, the UK's leading manufacturer of fire, rescue, and emergency vehicles. That this company has been supported by Scottish enterprise and is poised to target international markets with this new generation of emergency vehicles. Alexander Dennis Limited, an internationally successful bus manufacturer with innovative zero-emission bus offerings, including its second-generation hydrogen bus platform, which will offer a range of up to 300 miles. The Scottish Government has a track record of listening to and working with industry to develop the sustainable mobility sector in Scotland and decarbonise the transport system, making the most of the economic opportunities that change represents. This includes our work with industry through our Automotive Industry Advisory Group and our Bus Decarbonisation Task Force, and the activity that engagement has helped shape and prioritise, including £50 million of public sector funding and £71 million of private sector funding to introduce 272 zero-emission buses onto Scotland's roads, 202 of which are manufactured in Scotland. Working with the University of St Andrews and the University of Strathclyde, we've helped develop a hydrogen accelerator to support the development of transport hydrogen projects as part of an ecosystem to support innovation and encourage knowledge sharing. And we've also provided funding to develop facilities to support the development and testing of zero-emission components, systems, and drivetrains to support the development of specialist and heavy-duty vehicles in Scotland. The Scottish Government has provided strong leadership in developing a hydrogen policy statement, with a hydrogen action plan to follow later this year. With strong knowledge capabilities in hydrogen, yet a currently limited supply chain, Scotland offers plentiful opportunities for international companies active in this field. There are opportunities for fuel cell development, niche vehicle design and manufacturing, and additional supply chain opportunities include refueling infrastructure, operation and maintenance, plus hydrogen safety, and flow rate metrology. Scotland's vision is to become a leading nation in the production of reliable, competitive, and sustainable hydrogen. Securing Scotland's future as a centre for international excellence as we establish the innovation, skills, and supply chain that underpin an energy transition. In Scotland, we have a huge capacity to combine our history of rural innovation, natural resources, and to redeploy our oil and gas assets and expertise to build a hydrogen economy. Examples of this include hydrogen projects such as the Whiteley Wind Farm and the hydrogen production in Orkney. Scotland has a long tradition of innovation, and this tradition remains as strong today as it ever has been. Smart, profitable ideas flow from a broad mix of multinational firms based here in Scotland, and from diverse businesses and academic and technology communities that support them. As we transition to a zero-carbon economy, the focus for Scotland is on creating innovations which will deliver against sustainable objectives to make a real difference in the areas that matter. We can achieve this by working with strong partners and with the connected and world-leading academic clusters across Scotland. This slide maps a number of key stakeholders that I've already mentioned, as well as the Michelin Scotland Innovation Park, which we'll be hearing more about a little later, which provides an environment for innovation, research and development, and sustainable mobility. Scotland is strongly represented in complementary sectors such as advanced engineering and manufacturing. These industries can offer supply chain skills well suited to diversification into low carbon based opportunities. meaning that companies located in Scotland can unlock new value. Scotland has internationally recognised academic institutions. The University of Strathclyde is home to the Driving the Electric Revolution Industrialisation Centre, the Future Electrical Machines Manufacturing Hub, and of course, the Power Networks Demonstration Centre, the host of today's event. The University of St Andrews hosts a fuel cell and battery research project. With funding from the Faraday Institution, this aims to create safe, cheap, long-lasting batteries, which could revolutionise both electric travel and renewable energy storage. And the University of St Andrews is also developing the Locate drivetrain test facility at the Mission Scotland Innovation Park in Dundee. But it's not just about our academic institutions. Supporting Scotland's Climate Emergency Skills Action Plan, we're working collaboratively with key stakeholders in the skills sector, including Skills Development Scotland and the College Sector Agency ESP, to ensure that we understand where the gaps and opportunities are both now and in the future, so that we can ensure that Scotland has the skills it needs to transition to zero-emission transport, and ensure that Scotland's workforce benefit from high-value green jobs that result from that transition. So COP26 is being held at a crucial point for the climate emergency, and in unprecedented global circumstances. But with Scotland's track record of putting ambition into action, we're well placed for hosting this historic event. We plan to use this opportunity to develop more international partnerships and to further the work that we're doing to decarbonise the transport system, while creating opportunities for our companies to participate in a zero carbon economy. And we also plan to use it to ensure a just transition and to create good, high-value green jobs for Scotland's population. So that concludes my presentation for this afternoon, and I'll hand you back to Jacqueline. Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew, for kicking us off this afternoon. We'll see more of Matthew when he rejoins us later for our panel discussion.